So my father was a very big part of the Lincolnville community. He was a great character. Many, many people remember him very fondly. He was a little bit of a ham. He would have loved this experience, for example, sitting here and talking with you. He could tell a story.
Bob grew up on Indian Island. He was a great storyteller. I would visit him, and I would also bring down other basket makers to visit him, contemporary basket makers. And we would sit at the kitchen table. Bob would bake cookies for us, and he would talk about how he grew up with basket making.
My name is Bob Anderson, and I was born and raised on the reservation in Old Town in the Penobscot Nation. My grandparents were Florence and Leo Shea.
Leo and Florence came to Lincolnville. It was very common for folks from Indian Island and other places to come to these summery, touristy type areas to do exactly what they were doing at the time, which was weaving baskets and selling them.
They were coming through Lincolnville and they spotted the marsh that goes out and back of the restaurants there. They thought that was a good place to harvest the sweetgrass, so they set up a tent there for a couple of days. And while my grandfather was picking the sweetgrass, my grandmother was making a couple of baskets there in the tent. She put them out on a table and some folks came by and they bought them. So they decided, well, this is not a bad place to set up, so they did.
My parents moved to Lincolnville in 1968 and decided that they were going to pursue taking over the ownership of the Indian tent from my great-grandparents. So they worked very, very hard to make sure that the legacy of that place persisted. That was the Leo and Florence version of the Indian tent. Yeah. So this is the mom and dad version of the tent. What I remember about this is having to bring those baskets out every morning and bring them in at night. Yep, those were good times. I really enjoyed working there. The land that the Indian tent was on in 1999 was sold to the post office so that they could build the bigger post office. So that kind of forced my parents to think about starting to retire.
When we closed our shop at the beach in 1999, that was the absolute end of an era. We were the last tent shop. I have now a museum with all Maine Indian baskets in it and everything. I have all of the primitive tools and the forms and everything that was required to do basketry.
During the period that Bob was growing up, basket makers made baskets to put food on the table, buy clothes and necessities. They didn't save baskets.
The art of basketry had died away, in the 70s. And it struck me that if we didn't do something about preserving that we would lose all of that. For my own people, there would be no reference for them to see just how baskets were made. And so I decided to start collecting about that time.
He was trying to preserve knowledge. He had seen basket making in its heyday. He was an extraordinary individual in that he saw the need to record this information, to document the tradition.
I'm not sure what drove him to do that, but I think we're blessed that he was able to do that and preserve that legacy and make sure that it got into the hands of people that are able to carry out that legacy and preserve that artwork.
Mm-hmm.